Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to the sixth episode of the Winner's Circle podcast with your host, Samer Bawa. Today, I woke up with an attitude of gratitude because I have a very special guest joining us today. He's the co-founder of eFlow.ai. He's my business partner. Please welcome the CEO, Bassel Jalaleddine. On this episode, it's very special because over the past 5 years, we've been able to work closely together, building and growing not only one, but two startups together. The journey has been nothing short of remarkable. I've been able to learn so much, not only from the experience, but also from Bassel himself. I consider myself really lucky to be able to work with someone who's so dedicated and so passionate about his craft and about this organization. In this episode, we dive into the world of eFlow, exploring the power of AI and how it's impacting not only organizations, but society as a whole. And we're also going to talk about Bassel's success and what really makes him successful. Bassel is a proud Lebanese. He studied at LAU University. He's made significant strides in his career. In his early days, he was working with Ngami. He was the lead developer as well at Toter's Delivery. Lastly, Bassel is a recent recipient of the Forbes 30 Under 30 award, among many other accolades. Please grab a drink or a cool beverage, and let's get started with the Winner's Circle episode 6. Bassel, thank you for joining me today. It truly is a pleasure. I know, I've been trying to get you on the show. We've been so busy, but really, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Samer, for inviting me, and congratulations again for this podcast, and happy to be part of it.
It's truly a pleasure, really, and for me, being here today with everything that's going on and happening, it's really a special moment. So, Bassel, let's go ahead and get started. If you want to go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself, tell us a little bit about eFlow, maybe your current role, and maybe the founding journey as well, and we can start from there.
Yeah, so Samer, as you mentioned, I'm currently the CEO and co-founder of eFlow.ai. I would maybe describe myself as a curious individual. When I was young, I was really curious about understanding how technology works and how things in general work. So this led me to study computer engineering in university. This is where I started delving into technology, AI, and then starting my startup. So this is how I would like to describe myself: simply just a curious individual that would like to create some impact in the world.
That's really amazing. And Bassel, when you it looks like you had some experience in the corporate world. You got some, as far as working as a developer, with your talent and what you were working. And I asked a lot of my other guests this is, I guess, why did you choose the hard path versus the corporate path and maybe getting more than the years that you had? So I'm just curious on the decision you made, and was it something that you had always envisioned, or it just happened to happen?
Yeah, so I wouldn't see it as a more like the difficult path. It's more the more interesting path.
Sure.
For me. So if you're able to create something that you're interested in, you're passionate about, and you see that you can make a difference in people's lives, then this is something that might be, at least for me, more interesting. So this is where I chose this path.
Amazing. So with eFlow, and it's interesting how different people pitch it. I always have my own pitch for it. Tell us what eFlow is, or maybe in your perspective, and I guess what also is the big vision for eFlow? What do you see is in the future? But maybe in more that people can understand, like what we do. That would be great.
So we envision eFlow as your own personal mentor, right within the messaging apps like you use, like WhatsApp. So imagine you have a mentor that always following up with you, teaching you new skills, helping you to upgrade your career, learn new skills, all of that directly over WhatsApp. So this mentor would be with you throughout all your life to be able to support you with upgrading your life, learning new skills. Maybe you're curious about something. So this is where it will help you to learn new things, and yeah.
Amazing. That's great. And again, from kind of the genesis of eFlow and where we started, Tell us a little bit about that. Like it sounds like you had built something. It was a prototype. You were solving a challenge for a specific organization in a specific vertical, and then tell us a little bit about that and how maybe your curiosity mindset kind of played a role into that.
Yeah. So Samir, if you remember, like when we first started, it was just there was a challenge with our organization, and knowing that we like to solve problems, then it was like, okay, there's this COVID situation. People are trying to learn online. There's a lot of accessibility issues. So from our side, what can we do from a technology perspective and with our skills that we have to be able to solve this problem? So we started with one organization that had this problem. We tried to solve for it. And then, as you remember, when you joined, we were able to find other organizations that have this similar problem when it comes to accessibility, engagement of learning. And trying to solve a problem for one organization ended up solving a problem for many more organizations.
Absolutely, exactly. And Bassel, I think, nailed it too. And maybe my viewers, if you don't know the backstory, I joined Bassel kind of pre-COVID, during COVID. I was actually a sales consultant. I was giving a workshop and we connected kind of that way, and he needed some support with the startup. So I think, I always believe things happen for a reason, and we kind of ran into each other. I'm more of a business technical background. You're focused on the technology, or I'm sorry, business background. You're focused on the technology. And I think that's kind of where the gap was. You needed someone to kind of do
complementary
outreach.
skills at the end of the day. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's, I guess heading into eFlow and talking about AI now, this is kind of the big buzzword now happening. A lot of cool developments in this space, ChatGPT, the language learning models that are in place. You yourself have seemed to kind of, I guess, evolve in this AI space and kind of learn a lot of the stuff that's happening. And maybe if you want to tell us a little bit about how you're maybe incorporating AI into kind of the platform, how you're helping other organizations, and maybe what do you see happening with like these models and where it's going. That would be interesting.
So Samir, there's one big problem that I see currently when it comes to AI, that after ChatGPT was there and all these large language models were there, everyone wants to incorporate them just to say that we're using AI. But this is the wrong approach. The right approach is, what is the problem that you're solving for? How can you solve it? And can AI help you by solving this problem? So when we started in COVID, there were no large language models like ChatGPT.
True.
There were like GPT-2, which is something not very known. And we only used GPT-2 to solve the problem because we saw that this technology is able to help us to solve for this problem. If you're just adding AI to just say that you're using AI and be part of this hype, we have access to large language model APIs, let's use them. This is not a good approach for you, and it's not sustainable. You have to first focus on the problem. How can the technologies out there, one of them is AI and large language models, be able to help me to solve this for this problem? This is where you have something successful that is more sustainable rather than just using it as a buzzword.
So again, trying to find, I guess, so you've got this tool, you've got this technology, but it's being able to kind of adapt it and weaponize it in a way to solve these challenges, right? So from what I understood and what you're telling me is these models have been around for a while, right? I mean, before this ChatGPT craze with GPT-3 and things like that. And it sounds like you were already working in that space, correct? And I guess why all of a sudden did it kind of explode? Was it just because they had advanced to a reaching point? That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, so technically, the predecessor of GPT-3 was GPT-2. And if you try it, all it can do is just continue a sentence. So you can put a sentence and then it can have like a blank space. For example, the capital of France is, and then it will say Paris, or the capital of blank space is Paris, and then it will fill the blank. So this was how it used to work.
Yeah.
Jumping from GPT-2 to GPT-3, you had this more conversational approach that worked. This is where they were able to use it in a much broader,
more practical way.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because the technology before was not up to standards yet, or up to be live and be used by any individual. But with GPT-3 and up, this is where you were able to use it with like normal individuals and have a conversation with them.
Sure, asking you questions, having it
Yeah.
rewrite something for you or transcribe it. Gotcha. Makes sense. Perfect. And then if you could give us an example of like how are, I guess at eFlow, how are you guys, I guess, is there a special use case that you would maybe could share with us of maybe a project that you're proud of? I mean, I have a few projects that I think I'm, fairly proud of, but please share with us maybe like how, like if you could just say there was a challenge, how did you guys maybe benefit from AI or how did you incorporate it? And then what was maybe the outcome or success?
Yeah. So, for example, Samir, for Near East Foundation. So, Near East Foundation, they do a lot of training for their beneficiaries on entrepreneurship, marketing,
Middle East,
business
Iraq,
development.
Jordan, exactly.
Yes, they're based in 12 different countries.
Sure.
So they're pretty big. So the problem that they had is scalability. So how can we scale our learning programs to reach all of these individuals? And these individuals are beneficiaries that might have some accessibility problems.
Sure.
So how can we reach them at scale? So one of the solutions is to use an app that they already use, which is WhatsApp. So this is,
They use it every day. They're chatting with their friends. Their
exactly,
parents.
and they really know how to use it. This is one, but this is not the whole solution. Other solution is how can you incorporate the training that they already take inside these messaging apps that are a bit personalized for them. They can understand what they're doing and they can support them to learn these material. So this is where it fits in to resolve these challenges and to help these organizations to really grow.
That's amazing. Yeah. And, Near East Foundation has been one of the first customers. They're still an ongoing customer. And I guess, when you talk about like growing a business and you've had a couple startups in your past, like what would you say are some of those key factors to keeping those clients and like the sticky clients that everybody wants to keep and keep happy and they keep coming back for renewals and maybe project extensions? So what have you seen in that relationship and other relationships that have created this kind of positive, collaboration?
Yeah, I think most of the companies, they see like when we sign a deal with the organization, this is like a done deal and then we'll focus on another organization. But in reality, when you sign a deal with the organization, this is where the work should start. You should be able to make sure that they're satisfied, you understand their needs, the product that you already gave them is able to resolve their challenges if they have any feedback. So you should always be in contact with these organizations after you sign the agreement, just to make sure that they're happy with the product and not just sign a deal with them, get paid, and then go focus on another client to fill in the pipeline.
Exactly.
So just making sure that these organizations are happy with what they're getting. You're really communicating with them in a way that they feel comfortable to sharing maybe some challenges that they have. This is where you can improve on the product.
And I think you bring up a really great point, and I maybe have seen a lot of that in kind of the project management that you do is you almost book an hour or two just to talk, right? So it's not so much, hey, it's a discovery session. You're trying to say, listen, like, okay, we've got this technology, we've got eFlow, we've got this platform, we've got different features we can do for you. But what I really found interesting is when you talk to these clients, and it's almost like you are asking more deeper questions, right? Like kind of layering questions, trying to get to the end source. So are those some strategies that you found helpful? I mean, even with Queen Rania Foundation, I remember, you walked in there and okay, they wanted to do something, but at the end of the meeting, it went in a completely different way. So how do you play into that when you're working with clients?
So you should go in a mindset like, I'm there not to sell my product, to help this organization to reach the goals that they have. So you need to ask questions to really understand what are the goals of these organizations and how can your product help them to reach these objectives. As you go through this exercise and in this mindset to the meeting, the customer will be able to see more value.
Patient versus
because at the end of the day, like, okay, you have a product, but if you sound too salesy, it wouldn't be like something interesting for them. And maybe they have like a objective that you can also support with a product that they're not aware of. So trying to understand how can you help them, what are their objectives, and then see like how your product fits in. Sometimes your product might not fit in all the targets or objectives.
Sure.
You might share recommended products that can also help them with their other objectives. But the purpose of this meeting is to really understand what this organization needs, where do they want to reach, and how can I help them to reach this point.
Amazing. I know I 100% agree. And I think too, when we look at building products, releasing products into the market, I'm a startup, let's say I've got an app, I've got a platform, whatever it may be. I guess, do you see a lot of importance when it comes to like the reason you're building the app, right? The why factor, right? But and a lot of, and I think where eFlow went was you were building off of what you were hearing from the market and from the customers. And I guess, what would you tell maybe an entrepreneur who's maybe has a feature or has something that's like a new concept that's out there doing something, like, I guess, could you maybe help them or share something that would maybe, like, based on your journey and success?
Yeah, I would say one of the most important things is try to get as much insights as you can get on the clients or target profile that you're behind. So try to really understand their challenges, how do they operate, their sales cycle, their budgeting, their KPIs, where do they get money from, how their team structure is, their hierarchy. All of these details will help you to have a product that will fit in this organization. So you can ask some employees that already work maybe on the organization. You can go through their website, see maybe the job postings that they have. Try to understand really what this organization is doing, and this will help you to build a product that will fit into this organization. Yeah. So research is something very important. 2 is you have to be very flexible. So at the end of the day, you can't just say, this is my product and this is how I want it to be.
And how I present it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
You might have to change based on how the organization operates. Maybe there are some customizations that might be needed, but don't go into too much customizations that won't fit with other customers that have the same profile. So just make sure that
otherwise you're going to have 5 different products.
Yeah, and then you're going to waste a lot of resources like doing customizations for each and every organization. So try to do like good research. Try to be flexible in a smart way, not in a very like each organization will tell me something and then I'll work with them. And
sure,
sometimes clients might not be good clients for you, so you don't have to work with them. You don't have to take each and every deal. Some deals are not good for you. They're not aligned with the organizations that you're focused on.
Yeah.
So leave them aside.
Focus your strengths, which is what you're trying to
solve.
Right?
You can't be a product that works for all customers. You'll have to be in a specific niche, and then you can expand. But you can't just say like this product will work here.
Yeah. So you have to be confident enough to know your strengths and your core values, but also flexible enough to kind of iterate and move.
Yeah.
Going forward. Got it. That's perfect. Amazing.
And it's not easy to do that, honestly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Being exactly this rigid kind of, hey, this is who we are. This is like, the platform challenge. But no, that's really important. I agree. I think a lot of people, they lead with product versus leading with listening and leading with kind of discovery, right? So no, I think that's.
And if you remember, Samuel, like some calls after we got kind of a brief from the client, our pitch was completely different about the product.
Sure.
Because we knew something we didn't know, and then we had to present eFlow in a different way than how we usually present it, just to make sure that it is aligned with their objectives. So sometimes you'll have to be that flexible to do that.
Agreed. And I think being like also attentive enough to say, listen, okay, now we have to change the conversation, or we have to go down this way. No, I totally agree. And we've been in a lot of these calls where I think the more questions you ask, the more kind of the more shifting of what the actual vision was, right? So they reached out to us, hey, listen, we're looking to upgrade our learning management system, but what's really the core value or the core issue behind it, right? It's engagement, it's people completing courses and things like that. So Go ahead.
Yeah, because sometimes like customers don't really know what they need.
Mm,
So they might say, we need this, but then if you dig deeper and see the challenges that they have, there might be another solution for that
Sure.
that they didn't think of. So always try to dig deeper to understand why are they requesting this? What challenges do they have? Can you solve them in a better, efficient way?
mm.
Then maybe we can recommend or suggest that to the client.
Absolutely. And I think on a recent call we had, you were like, listen, we just did this new feature with this client. I think this might be relevant to you. So I think that's such a perfect statement of like, listen, we've done some new updates instead of like a kind of a general, hey, listen, look, go check out our new 2.0 app, right? Listen, we've got this like small problem that this client had with reporting. They wanted to see it visually this way. Now we're able to do it on the platform this way. So I think that's a perfect example, right? Of like, it's not a button or whatever it may be specific. It could be something relevant to the challenge.
Yeah,
So,
and sometimes this helps you to confirm that this customization or feature that you're doing is aligned with not only one organization, but with different organizations. So you can also use this strategy if you're already working on a feature, you can share it with other clients that you're meeting with and say, we're working on this. We think that it will help you resolve these challenges. Is it correct? If you get confirmation, means this is
it validates the hypothesis,
exactly.
which you've already kind of proven with one, but you're confirming more and more.
Exactly.
So if you find this pattern, then you're onto something.
Yeah.
It seems. Okay.
And you always have to be as a like researcher, data collection. So as you do more calls, you'll have to feed your brain more with more input, insights from these organizations to understand more how they operate, what they need, what they don't need, what challenges do they have. So it's constantly taking notes and trying to understand the market or the industry that you're working in.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. And I think, again, I mean, with so much competition and so many different like copycats and similarities, I mean, we're all fighting for the chip here, right? So I think, and that's a great segue into kind of differentiation and kind of what makes you guys different. So no, that's really amazing. And Bassel, going back to AI before we kind of switch into kind of your focus is, are you afraid of AI? Are you afraid of this power that's behind it? Like,
so I'm not like afraid. It's a bit scary where we're going. So it's more like understanding its limitation, where it might go, and how can we make good use of it. It's advancing in a much faster pace than what we expected, which is yes scary. But then how can we make sure that we can use it in the correct place, and how can we understand that this might hurt us, like what's the limitation and it might hurt us in some ways, or where it can be used. For example, now with calls and deep fakes, now that we know that AI is there, if you get a video, you don't trust the video directly. You say, maybe this is deep fake. So if you have more knowledge about what AI can do, then when you get some information, you'll be able to always question, is this correct or AI? Yes, I know AI can do something like that, so I can question that. So being always like updated on what AI can do, you'll kind of be able to protect yourself.
absolutely. And you know, I recently saw like an interview with Sam Altman. He mentioned kind of the different stages of AI and ChatGPT. When it's, I think stage one or stage two was like bot, and then stage two and stage three. Like, are we talking like full consciousness here? Like eventually, like where do you see, like you mentioned having an own assistant, a lifetime assistant with us. Like what does that look like? And what does that next stage of AI look like when it comes to, so right now, again, going back to, we've got these chatbots, we've got, you know, search engine type capability where you ask it a question and prompt it. But what's the next evolution here when it comes to coming into the market and these next phase of capability?
Yeah. So question answer is something pretty normal now. You ask a question, you're gonna answer. But the scary part is where it can reason and make decisions and do actions.
Mm-hmm.
So you might say, I wanna, for example, buy this table or get this. So then it will do some reasoning, it will do some research, it will do some maybe also actions to be able to get you this table. For example, let's say you don't have any money, and maybe you ask it like, I want to get this table.
Sure.
It might see that, oh, I might commit a fraud or lie for someone or take money from somewhere to go order this from Amazon and then get it delivered. So when these AI agents are able to not only answer questions, but reason and then take action, this is where it might be a bit scary. And there's one story, I don't know if you know about it, for GPT, where they asked GPT to solve this captcha, like, are you a robot?
Yeah.
The robot thing. So you get like some text in a captcha that you have to solve to prove that you're not a robot.
Okay.
So what they did is they asked GPT, like, please solve this captcha. GPT is not able to solve this captcha. So what it did, it took this captcha, it posted it online, and it asked, like, there's a website that you can ask tasks from human, and it asked like a human, any human that can help me to solve this captcha. So one of the people that took the task online were like,
was it human?
No, he was a human.
Okay.
But then he asked like, why are you asking me to solve the captcha? Are you not a human? And GPT lied, and GPT just said, no, I am a human, but I just have vision impairment.
Oh, wow.
So
it fabricated a story.
Yeah.
And then it
just to get the output.
Task.
Exactly.
So it would do anything in its maybe capacity to
So it's kind of manipulating people. So this is what's scary about it. And when it can take action, this is where it's scary. You can ask it for a specific objective. I want you to do this. It might do it by manipulating people, maybe by doing something that's not good, to be able to get you what you need. So this is where it comes to become scary.
Understood. Wow. No, that's really great. But and again, I think with everything, with like this great power, we can also get more benefits. So I guess capping off this whole AI conversation, do you see more benefit coming out of AI than negative? Or does it really depend on the use case and what you're doing? And I know these are more broad questions, but this to me is like interesting conversations, right? And I think you can do a lot and humanity-wise, but it'd be interesting to see how it would go. So if you want to just maybe end, or at least if we on the AI topic, let me know.
Yeah. So it depends on the use case at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, how are you using it? In what way? But just think about it. If someone built an agent that can do action, and then the sole objective was like, I want to take control of this country or this building or something, and then you can just leave it on its own doing all of this stuff just to get you the objective that you need. This is really scary.
Sure.
And this can happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it depends how you're using it. There's a lot of safeguards that these large language models are creating, but at the end of the day, you can't really control everything. There's a lot of open source large language models out there, a lot of libraries that you can use. So you just have to be a bit
cognizant and aware, right? Like
aware and like really understand where it's going. How can you protect yourself? All of that. Yeah, but really, in our hands, I don't think that we can do much. It's mostly in the power of these big tech companies that are running these large language models to make sure that they don't drift and go into being used in bad ways.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
makes perfect sense. Awesome. So switching over maybe more kind of to the Bassel side and to the team side, I think I'm really curious to know, like, and again, as a leader, as someone who's been a leader in that role for quite some time, and it seems, you thrive at it, but Bassel, when it comes to like emotional toll of success and emotional toll of being in that position, not just financial or operational, like how do you manage that? And like, there must be a lot of pressure. You're building a venture, you're responsible for so many different people's lives. So I guess, like, how do you manage that? And what are some things that you think about when you're in that position? And I speak to a lot of leaders who give me examples, but I'm curious to know from you.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that really motivates us as startup founders is we're not seeing clients as numbers. We're seeing them as normal, like human beings. So for example, when you're working in the education space, for each learner that you're getting, you're really changing their life. So even though you have like 50,000, 100,000 learners, this is not just a normal number. You help to change 100,000 lives. So if you look at it in this perspective, you'd say, okay, like I'm spending my time and I'm able to help this much people. So then you'll have more motivation to continue. So financial motivation is one of the things, but at the end of the day, it's also the impact that you're doing and the change that you're able to do at scale. So if you look at it in this way, this is where it will change. And for the internal team, they should also have a similar view of how we're looking at it. Like we're
this
helping
greater vision of
exactly
of this impact that you're
what's the
creating.
mission, what's the vision, what's the impact that we're doing, how many people have we saved, like there's a lot, how many people have we changed their life, getting these testimonials, these stories from organizations of learners that went through learning. This will motivate you. You say, even if I'm putting this much effort and I'm only helping like a couple thousand or 100,000 learners, this makes a big difference in the world.
Yeah, it's kind of the mission, right? And if everyone's on board and they believe that same kind of feeling and belief, you have this kind of success, right? Everybody's putting in their best effort, everybody's showing up, and it's not, I guess, even like in some other podcasts, it doesn't become work, it becomes your life's work. It becomes like, why you've been put on this earth. So that's really great.
It gives you some sort of a purpose.
Sure.
Right? Yeah.
But I guess this is a good segue into my next question. Is, were there any dreams that you had to give up on, like to get to this point, or sacrifice, or maybe you thought you were going in another direction, maybe? And I don't know, Bassel, because obviously what happened, but I'm curious to know your thoughts.
Yeah. So usually, if you go into entrepreneurship, yes, you'll have to give up a lot of sacrifices. One of them is your time and effort. So you'll have to put much more time than if you're a regular employee. You'll have to hold a lot of responsibility. So there's a lot of sacrifices that you have to do, but then you have to look at the upside.
Yeah.
So when this thing works, the turnover that you're going to get or the return on investment will be really high. So you're taking really a risk to get this reward. But at the end of the day, throughout this journey, you're doing something that you're passionate about, that has a purpose, and you're doing impact. So all of these help you, but it's mostly like changing your mindset so you can really survive in this environment.
Instead of regretting, instead of like thinking.
I wouldn't regret anything, because at the end of the day, it helped me to reach where I am today, and I'm proud of where I am today. And all of the challenges that I went through, and even the decisions that I made they were not like good decisions, but they did help me to learn new stuff and reach to where I am now. So I wouldn't regret them, and I would see them more as a learning lesson
or a stepping stone to that next.
Yeah, it's helping you to grow. Like you're going up. You're never going down. If you're learning new stuff, you're always going up.
Amazing, man. Yeah, I totally agree. I think too with eFlow, we didn't know what was going to happen, right? We sent some emails, we talked to some clients, we did this thing, and look where we are today. Like, I mean, it's amazing how you're right. It's not so much the destination, it's the journey on it. It's who you're meeting along the way. Maybe someone tells you some advice, and that's too, like getting back to that. Like, is there some mentor or someone in your life that maybe helped you a lot throughout this journey, or was it mostly like different people, the team, everything? Usually there's some person that is that motivator, and it could even be your dad or someone or your parents. So could you share maybe a little insight into that? Or
yes, I think from my side there's no particular person, but from each and every person, I do have something that I like about them that I can like kind of pick and choose. Like, oh, I like this about my dad. I like this about
exactly.
This investor, this startup leader. Like you can pick and choose, and then based on that, you'll be able to like kind of put a role model that you created yourself.
Kind of your footprint, exactly.
Yeah, because I think we're all different at the end of the day. So I wouldn't really choose one role model that I really look up to. Yeah. I can choose a couple of things from different people that, if combined, it will create kind of a role model that I want to become.
Amazing. Yeah, that's absolutely inspirational. And I think too, it's like you have kind of your playbook and your house that you're building, and it's just taking different components and different like things that would help you also.
Yeah.
But maybe not all of it, right? So no, I totally agree. And I think that's also great because this next question, it talks about what's some unconventional piece of advice that no one would really expect, but has worked for you. Like, for example, we always hear the same things about entrepreneurs, right? And startups. So there's got to be some things that are not spoke out loud. So maybe there's something that you have or that you could share that maybe isn't just like, grind and hustle and all these buzzwords we hear about entrepreneurship, because man, you've been in it for as long as I know. So I tell us a little bit insight into that if you could.
Yeah, so sometimes most of the startups, their goal is to how can we raise funds.
Yeah.
So this is the main goal. We want to raise funds from VC to be able to succeed. Few startups really look at, okay, so I need this money. What are the different ways I can get this money? VCs are one part of that, but maybe you can really get it from projects with clients. Maybe you can start selling to these organizations. You can have kind of a deal like, what are these different resource options that you can work on to get the money? And if you're getting the money not from the VC, from the client itself, it's worth more, because at the end of the day, you're not getting like free money giving equity. No, you're getting money to sell the product. So it's a win. It's a double win for you at the end of the day. So I see a lot of startups like just focusing on, okay, so the next step for us is to raise VC funds, not focusing on getting revenue from clients or maybe sustaining themselves. So I would rather see like, okay, VCs is one way, I'll follow that. But at the end of the day, I want to really sustain even if I don't get any VC funding. So how can I do that on my own? And it's not really that difficult, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of businesses that started with $0 and they were able to build things on the way.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that I think that's really important, and I think it's a balance as well. Like, and we've been in that space where it's like, yes, we want to raise, and I think also it depends if you're still in ideation or MVP development. I know a lot of folks they raise funds even before they have a product, right? So I think like it's a balance of like, talking to VCs, but also at the same time growing your business and showing that traction too, and being able to prove to them like, hey, this works. We have clients, we're able to like make this work because we've already started it. So amazing. And that's for I guess getting down to the final of the podcast here is like, we all believe in some things and certain individuals, and we see things in individuals, and maybe it's a team member. And, when you hire someone or when you work with someone, and this can also be a client, right? You mentioned we don't want to work with all these clients. What are some characteristics that you like and that you like to see in people that you work with, or and when you're hiring someone or when you're working with them? That's what I really want to know. Like, if it could be something technically, it could be something that they do, but tell us maybe there's some traits that you could share.
So I think two important things that I look at when it comes to hiring, and I also do that for interns. So what you do is you present them with a difficult problem, and if their response is, we can't do it, I don't want to hire them. If their question is, how can you do it, and thinking of ways to do it, sometimes it might be impossible, but then asking the question, how can we do it, breaking it down, maybe reaching half of the solution. This mindset is someone that I would like to work with and is hireable. Otherwise, if they say that, especially in startups, like you're doing a lot of unconventional stuff. So if team members are telling you this is not doable, I don't want to work with these team members. They have to kind of have this mindset of, how can I achieve this, and then work on that. So this is the first point. The second point is very simple. Like, is this person someone that I would enjoy working with? If the answer is yes, okay. If the answer is no, even if they have very good technical skills, they're very good senior, I don't want to work with them. So better not to hire them and like kind of ruin this culture for the company. So I would mostly look at these two things. When it comes to skills, these are all things that you can learn.
True.
You can take a lot of online courses. You can learn new skills. You can learn from mentors. So these are easy to acquire. But if you don't have the mindset, it's very hard for you to acquire this mindset of solving problems.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, when it comes to, and do you think that you can sense that in an interview right off the bat? Like, do you think that's enough? Or like you said, like people can learn it. Like, I mean, you meet a lot of people, you talk to a lot of people, but I guess do you sometimes feel like you have this vision where I could say, like, this guy is a winner, or this guy is maybe not someone that would be a good fit? And is there a criteria you usually set, like you just mentioned?
Yeah. So first of all, just present them with something kind of impossible. See their first reaction.
Okay.
Is
So
it
shock
like,
and awe.
is it like I can't do this, or is it like, okay, let me think of it. Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can do that. So just shock them with something a bit impossible. You get the first reaction. This is without filters, so you won't get any filters from them, because at the end of the day, they're going to be a bit shocked with.
And there's no preparation for this question or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is one. Two, you might mishire people at the end of the day, but you should fire them quickly. So even if you mishire someone, don't try to
string them along or try to fix it.
Yeah, because they will like kind of ruin the culture of the company. Just make sure that you fire them early on and just continue. Don't like just say, no, I've spent a lot of time maybe hiring them or something, and then I want to keep them just because I don't want to maybe lose their technical skills or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Amazing. No, Bassel, this is perfect. And kind of wrapping up to my last question here is looking kind of like at this journey so far. You've been in this space 5-6 years now, entrepreneurship. I guess what's the most important lesson that you maybe have learned? And maybe there's a couple lessons. And it sounds so cliche when I ask this question, but like we've been through a lot in these last 4 or 5 years, and we've learned a lot. We've been through downs, we've been through ups. I guess what's the most important thing, or the most valuable thing that you've gotten out of all this? And if you could just share with the audience and listeners, and I know I'm kind of like speaking to a general audience here, but I think there's a lot of people that would be curious to know, like, go ahead, Bassel, sorry.
Yeah, so I think like the most important thing is, as you have any like challenge or success, the question that you have to ask yourself is, what did I learn from that? So as you ask this question for every milestone that you do, if it was bad or if it was good, this is where you're kind of.
And what does that mean? Does that mean financially good or monetary, or it made you feel good?
For example, you're trying to close a deal with a client and you don't close this deal. So one reaction would be, I'll be pissed and I don't want to work today and everything.
I do get pissed sometimes.
This is one way, but then the other way is, okay, I was able, like I lost this client. What can I learn from that? So I don't lose other clients similar to this.
Sure.
So what's the thing that made me lose that? Because if I learn from that, then there may be other clients that I might have lost, but then now that I learned this, I will be able to win them. So there's always a learning from every step that you take. Try to kind of extract the learning from each challenge that you face, each maybe failure that you have, so you can be in a better place and succeed.
Versus just kind of playing the negative card and coming up with 10 excuses of why they don't like you, or your product's bad, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, what can you learn from that? It's very simple, and then this will help you a lot if you ask this question.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, I think we've covered everything today. Bassel, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the show. I hope that we can continue this amazing journey, and super excited to hear more updates from you and what you're doing, and what's the future. Do you have anything upcoming, anything that you're working on specifically, anything you want to maybe announce or share with our listeners before we go today?
Yeah, so what I would do, maybe it might seem like a marketing thing or something, but go to our website, like eFlow.ai. There's some courses on WhatsApp that you can do. So just try them out, give us feedback. We'd love to hear feedback and see how conversational and like this is how we envision the future of learning. You'll be talking to a WhatsApp AI tutor that seems kind of a real human, but it's an AI in the background. So try it out, give us some feedback. We're always improving on that. So love to get your feedback on that.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it. So amazing, amazing. Well, thank you very much, Bassel. Thank you, listeners. And you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks a lot. Thank you,
Thank you,
Bassel.
Simon.
Yeah.
Thank you.